smokers, and we have drinkers, and we have bikers, and in-betweeners. We have losers, and we have winners, and we have some little stinkers. Oh, I love Cowboy Church. I love this place. It offers peace and saves fools like me. Cowboys greet you with handshakes and smiles. They accept you as you are. Oh, I love Cowboy Church. Now we're Baptist, Catholic, Lutheran, and Methodist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, and Charismatic. Our rental paint boxes off. We're somewhat of a holy roller. We're rednecks who love Jesus. We're all family. Branches of the Lord. We fellowship in the saddle and at the supper table. Riders for the brand, full of grace. Loving God and helping neighbors, we're learning to light the river. Harmony with our brothers. Oh, I love Cowboy Church. Now we're not perfect and love our country. We know we're sinners saved by grace. We're born again with the Holy Spirit in us, saved by the blood of the Lamb. Oh, I love Cowboy Church. That's why I love this old Cowboy Church.
Welcome to Melody Roots Podcast Radio. I'm Livia. We're here with Michael Gracy. He is a 71-year-young retired railroad engineer, married to his wife Sandy, 48 years. They have a son and daughter with 10 grandkids and 4 great-grandkids. He's an ordained minister with a part-time travel and music ministry. He is the pastor at the Beaumont Christian Cowboy Church in Beaumont, Kansas since October 1st, 2017. Michael started playing guitar at age 14 when his dad bought him his first guitar. He still has one more payment on it, Michael says. Michael played in high school and college bands before he got married, and after he was married, he let that go for many years. But it wasn't until after he got out of alcohol rehab that he started playing and singing again in church. His pastor encouraged him to start writing and telling his story, so he recorded a couple albums on his own, and then he signed with HMG Nashville, recording and releasing songs to radio, and had 3 songs hit the charts on Christian country radio. On June 2nd, 2011, the album He Writes a Song was released nationwide. He doesn't stop there. Michael was invited to Nashville to re-record the song Your Memory Will Never Fade, released worldwide in 2013 on Mega Record International, played on stations worldwide. So let's take a listen to Michael's story. So how are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. I'm just busy, almost to the point I'm overwhelmed. I've been answering dozens of emails that came in while I was gone, and I'm trying to catch up. I'm wondering, I got a song idea, had to put that on hold because I've had all these people calling me, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to take a break and talk to you. Maybe that'll relax me a little bit.
Yeah, get your mind going somewhere else for a little while, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, that's cool. Right now we're down in Winfield, Kansas. We had to move down here closer to our home. We've had some aging parents we've had to take care of, and my wife's mother passed about a month ago, and
Oh.
now we're dealing with my dad. He's okay. He just needs to have some supervision every now and then.
Yeah, wow.
We got grandkids who are playing sports down here, so we're kind of stuck in Kansas for a while, and we're just, we're making ourselves happy, but we'd rather be in Sioux Falls. That's where we lived for 2 years and just loved it up there.
Wow.
Looking forward to getting back up there.
Good.
I don't know. I feel more at home up there. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm away from home.
Yeah. Huh.
We were on the road for 10 years and lived in a fifth wheel and traveled from Nashville to the West Coast and
Wow.
down into Texas in the wintertime and out to Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, Idaho in the summertime, and sang in lots of churches, cowboy churches, and other venues, music stores and coffee shops, and just any place where they'd let us play.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, that's the way to do it these days, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't get rich, but met a lot of nice people.
Yeah, and that's just how it is, and that's why I want to start a little community with Melody Roots, hopefully, and just to be a supportive, of each other, and so it's hard to be an artist, and you just.
Well, it is in any genre. It is awfully hard. I didn't start trying to get in to really playing music professionally until I was 51 years old. And
wow.
Went to Nashville, and I got to play down there and record some. Had a promoter promote me, and I published some songs with some publishing companies down there, but nothing happened. And that happens to 99% of the people, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like winning the lottery, I was told.
And, yeah, it's just like the lottery.
Yeah, if you look at it that way. Yeah, I know. Well, that's why another reason I started Melody Roots, because I've been in that position before as well, and it seems like you put a lot of money into it, you don't really get much back, so it's hard to make a business of it. Yeah. Unless you have a band that stays together, and you can perform in bars and that, and different kind of things.
That seems to be the place where you get a little notoriety if you're a bar singer or bar band.
Yeah.
But
it depends on what kind of artist you want to be.
I pick Christian country music, and sometimes that's not welcome in the bar scene. But I have played my Christian country music in a bar and grill in Nashville, and people actually stopped smoking and drinking and listened to my music, so I thought I had something worth saying and that people needed to hear it.
Yeah.
But none of the guys that needed to hear it were there to give me a deal, so it's just, that's the way it is.
It is.
So just move on.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of something to give for sure, and a lot more that you get back in just playing, playing for people and that. So it's always I always encourage people to keep going. So it can be tough in that world.
It's tough, but it's worth it.
Definitely.
If a guy can just get through to one person.
Well, you said you started back up at age 51 playing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so that's kind of when you started seriously playing just in church or elsewhere?
I started playing in churches. The pastor that helped me recover and gave me a lot of good advice and supported me, got me to singing in church, and he had me singing Southern gospel. And he told me one day, he said, "You're not a Southern gospel singer." He said, you actually butcher the music because you put too much country into it. So why don't you write your own music and tell the story about how God's helped you with your life and your problems? And so I said, boy, I didn't even like English in school. How can I be a writer or a poet? And he said, well, just tell your story. And so I started that and putting it to music that just came to me out of somewhere. It's all God inspired. I got a song called He Writes the Song, I Hold the Pen, and that's kind of the way I've written all of my music. And so when I started playing those songs in church, people would come up and say, hey, you need to record those. Those are good songs. You need to get in touch with somebody. Well, I'm a farm boy from Kansas and lived in the country, and, you know, I farmed and ranched and broke horses. I was a horseshoer, and I didn't have any connections. And one Sunday, I did a cowboy church in a neighboring town, and this guy just happened to be connected with Nashville, and he said, you got your music on the air? And I said, no. And he said, call this gal in Nashville, and she can help you. And so I did, and that's how I got into the Nashville scene. And I had several songs that they put on the radio. And one was Soldier's Battle Cry that I wrote about my dad getting hit in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. And this jockey, which was Waylon Jennings' cousin, she got this promoter to call me and say, hey, that needs to be out there. And so they started playing it on the air, and I got a publishing deal. And then I had a John Deere tractor song that hit #1 in several small country charts. Okay. And, you know, it's just one thing after another. And I thought, man, here I go. But no label would pick me up, or, you know, I just couldn't get any jobs. So I went back and forth to Nashville for about 6 months every weekend and played down there and recorded and spent a lot of money. And finally I woke up by my wife's request and said, hey, your music and ministry is not in Nashville. It needs to be out in the country and connecting with people out here and not trying to be a, you know, glitz and glamour guy and the next Garth Brooks. She says, that's not you. You're more into your gospel and ministry. So, and I like to help people. I help recovering alcoholics, and I've helped several guys. Some aren't too successful, but some are.
Yeah. And
so that's kind of how I got into Nashville.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's a tough crowd there. They do things in a very business-like way. They've got that down, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, you know. They know what they're looking for, so.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm the needle, nobody can find me.
Oh, hey, we found you here.
But, you know, on this Reverb Nation, I've had lots of great comments from other artists, and they like my music. And I've had several inquiries, and I think I probably may have passed up some chances to go back, but I played that game before, and I don't want to spend any more money. I spent enough money, so I just do what I can do locally and wherever I'm at, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just all about where you find yourself in music too. And
Yeah.
I think it's okay to experience the
Yeah, and,
trying to get
I
to the
really
glitz
like
and
going
glamour.
to assisted livings, nursing homes, and churches because, the people in assisted livings are forgotten people mostly. They've outlived their children and they're lonely.
Yes.
And they love my songs. Plus, I sing some of the good old gospel greats that, they sang back in the good old days when they was going to church, and they really enjoyed that, especially the ones that had dementia and a little Alzheimer's. And they come back to life for just a minute for their relatives, and that's a thrill to their family that they come back for a while, and after the music's over and a few minutes later, well, they're back into their little world where they live most of the time. It's a sad deal.
It is. I've done that too. I've gone to an assisted living, and they really loved it. They just lit up for a while, and
yeah. It's amazing how they come out of their darkness. And
it is.
Back with us for just a little while. And when I leave those kind of places, I feel like I've been paid $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not all about money.
No, and I think trying to be that perfect person that everybody wants to see in you is just unachievable. But when you look at what music is really for, like the purpose, it's for that reason. It's for going to the people that are lonely, and you could look how many people you can help just with a song. Just you give them a memory, and they can hold on to that, and so that's how powerful it is. I think that's why it's so important. You're one of those that understands that.
Well, I acquired that through a lot of disappointment. I wanted to make it big, and I didn't want to make a $1 million or whatever. I just wanted to support my music and being able to record and stuff, and it just never happened. I never could reach that plateau, and finally I realized that this music was for others to enjoy that appreciated what I did, and so I started doing backyard concerts. People wanted to hear my music, and going to churches and rest homes and coffee shops and restaurants, and I've never been kicked out of a place.
No, you're very good. Your music is very good. And
I guess I'm tolerable.
Yeah. No, I think it's great that you do those things. A lot of artists are in that position, but they don't really get it, Like, I know I've been there myself. I don't think I really strived to be on a record label or anything like that. But I love it performing in front of people and that kind of thing. But I think I just look more into depth of what music really is about, and like how it affects me. It affects me so much. So I know that it affects others, and that there's so much positive stuff that can come from it. And it's more about that social connection, If you connect to someone that likes that same music, you're connected soul, you're just, I don't know, there's something more about that than any money that you could get. Not that saying that money is not a good thing or couldn't be used for a good thing, but if you can really connect to the music and understand what it's doing, I think that's the most important thing. So.
Yes, it is. I had a disc jockey. He was a pretty high-profile disc jockey in Nashville, and we was talking one evening at a cast party, and I said, well, us lesser artists. We're down here struggling, and we're supporting the guys who are up above us. And he said, hey, I don't want you to ever talk like that again. He said, you are not a lesser artist. He said, we need people like you to get out into the world, out into the country, out into places where there's no chance for, country people to hear Nashville-type talent and present the gospel to them. So he says, don't think less of yourself just because you're not on the Billboard charts.
Yes.
And that kind of stuck with me and thought, well, he gave me some worth that I am worth something.
Yeah.
And so when I go out and perform, I make eye contact with everybody, and it's just awesome. That encourages me and just fills me up to where I just feel like a millionaire when I walk out of that place, because I've made somebody's day or made their day a little brighter or brought back a happy memory, or, it's just, I'm building relationships wherever I go. And that's what it's all about. Life is about building good, solid relationships with people.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. Definitely. Definitely. That's so good. Do you mind if I get a little bit personal?
Well, no. Not at all.
Okay. So you said that you started your music again when you were 51, and it was more into the gospel. You were going to church, and you said that you had been going through an alcohol. You went through an alcohol rehab, and
Yeah.
How did you know that you had a problem, and how long did you have a problem with alcohol before you reached out for help?
Well, I've recognized that I've probably had a problem when I was around 30. In my college days, I played college football at a junior college west of my hometown, and, that's what kids do. They go out and experience life and drink and party and have a good time. Some people could leave alone, have 2 or 3 beers, but not me. I had just to go to the limit every time. And and I carried on that until I was about 30. And one night the light came on, and I thought, man, I got a problem. But I always put it off trying to do something about it because I didn't want my peers to think that I was weak and couldn't overcome this battle with alcohol on my own. And I knew I needed help from somebody else besides just me. But, pride took over. And I was 51 years old. And I've always been kind of a rugged individual and kind of a tough guy. And I got the bar fight in Amarillo, Texas. And every time this guy hit me, he's about, I suppose, 30-some years old, and here I was 50. And he was 6'4", and here I am 5'9". And he just pounded me into the ground. But he couldn't knock me out, and he couldn't knock me down. And so they finally pulled us apart. But every time that guy hit me, I saw a tree, just the bark of a tree, just saw a tree, a vision of a tree. Every time he hit me, while this is going on, I thought, what in the world? There's no trees in Texas like this. So I went to my room and cleaned myself up. I was a bloody mess and looked like a jack-o'-lantern. And I looked at myself and it scared me. And I said, Lord, I'm tired of living like this. Please help me. And I went and sat on the edge of my bed, and there happened to be a Gideon's Bible sitting on this nightstand, and opened it up and turned to John 3:16 and just fell open to it. And So I read that, and I thought, huh. And then I read John 3:17, which says that God didn't send Jesus to condemn us. He sent Jesus to save us. And I thought, man, if he's not going to condemn me for what I've done in the past and wants to save me, I can buy into that. And so the next day, when I got home from this, I was a railroad engineer, and when I got home back to Wellington, Kansas, where I was running out of, and that's about 350 miles from Amarillo, I got home, and I called the guy, and I was in rehab about 4 days later. And that significance of seeing that tree every time the guy hit me was just, I felt Jesus was intervening and keeping me from getting hurt too bad. And that was, him on the cross saving me. So, and so that rehab really done me. I was in for, I was supposed to go for 28 days, and they kept me 34 because they had a little work to do on me to break me down and get rid of that pride. And so I learned so much about life and about myself and how to handle problems in life that I guess I just missed those. And it's helped me so much. And so I got involved in the AA program, and but I believed in God. I had this epiphany while in rehab, and I thought, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to reach out and help and pay this forward because there's more people like me that are struggling, and I want to help learn these, or help teach these people what I learned.
Yes. And that's what life is about, It's like you realize it's not all about me, and I think I think that's the biggest thing with an addiction. It's like, oh, well, I got to help somebody else, and
and when a person starts helping others, it gets you out of the center of the stage, and you start helping other people, and then that gets the heat off of you, and you just feel so much better when you're helping somebody get better.
Yes. That is so true. So basically your ministry helped you, and helping others was a big part of you overcoming being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I started going to church, a lot. I went to AA a lot, and I still do, but still church, I started going to church and, thanking God for all that he's done for me and his forgiveness and what he's just such an awesome God that he can forgive and forget what I've done. It's just, I still think I'm undeserving, which I am. It's all about grace, God's grace.
Yeah.
It's a gift, and it's how we use it, is how we handle our life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You betcha. I share that whenever I can. Every time I go out, I tell little bits and pieces of the story. And, but a lot of my songs have to do with how God's helped me through all this.
Yeah, and that's what was so amazing about music too, and it just it can keep your mind on something different rather than the struggle that you're struggling with. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So did this all convince you to become an ordained minister, being able to help people, or?
I just felt like that I was called to do that when I was in rehab, and so I worked at it and had mentors, and had one guy try to discourage me from being a pastor because it said it's too political and, oh, you won't like it and all that stuff. Well, he was looking from his point of view, not my point of view. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't wanting to get in it for political reasons or, to be a big-time minister. I was just wanting to help people, and I had a lot of people wanting, me to marry them, and I've done a lot of funerals and baptisms, and so I thought, well, why not be a full-fledged minister? So that's why I went into it, and I didn't have a church, but I was a music minister for 10 years every place I went. Mm. And so many people would come up to me and say, hey, you need to be at a church someplace and pastoring people. You have a heart for it. And I said, well, I'm kind of a rogue, and I'm not associated with any kind of mainstream church. And I said, well, that's all the better.
Yeah.
So finally, after I got my ordained ministry in 2005, but I went without a church until 2017, I think. And then a cowboy church in Beaumont, Kansas contacted me, so I've been their minister for 2 years. And
wow.
Just loving it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about finding the right support group for you, and that's what's so amazing about churches is that you can find one that you fit into, Yeah. And it's not always...
this church that I'm at now is a good fit, real good. I'm kind of an old cowboy anyway, and so we've got ranchers and working cowboys and farmers that attend, and we're on the same page on about everything.
Yeah. So is your family supportive and involved in your music? Do they sing with you, or do they like to travel with you, or?
Well, my mom and dad, while Mom was alive, they followed me to Nashville when I played down there at some big venues, and they followed me around to a lot of the churches close to home, and they supported me really, really good. And my wife, Sandy, she traveled with me, and she claims that she had to carry all the equipment and run the business and handle the money. And I just sang. I had the easy job. And so
it's a good team right there.
had to carry all that heavy equipment, so I bought a smaller amp so it'd be easier on her. And then she retires, and so I have to do most of it myself. She will carry my music and my guitar on special occasions if I'm a good boy,
Yep.
So she's really been supportive and buys into what I do, and she's enjoyed all the travel that we did for 10 years. She made a lot of lasting friendships, and she counseled some people that I don't know why, but they wouldn't come and talk to me, but they talked to Sandy and she'd counsel them. Mm-hmm. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that she would work with these. Most of them were women, and I understand why they wanted to talk to her more than me. And she's done her part in this ministry too. She's probably better at it than I am. She's a good listener. I'm a talker.
Yeah, it's a
try
team.
to fix things.
It's a team effort, isn't it? That's good. What does music do for you as a person, I guess?
Well, it gets me keeps me in contact with God, because every time I pick up a guitar and start playing, I just feel closer to Jesus, and I sing to Him even when I go out to perform. I'm really not performing so much to the crowd as I am to God, making a joyful noise to Him. And if I hit a bad note, well, I know he don't care. And so
Yeah.
that gets me through some of the rough spots when I perform, because I'm not a perfect guy. None of us are, and I make mistakes.
Yep.
But I feel really fulfilled when I leave a venue, because I know that I've helped. And when I finish singing, I usually go around, and Sandy does too, that we touch everybody and shake their hands and give them a compliment and, say a few words of kindness to them and encourage them to carry on. And, that's what that music has done for me. It's just made me a more humble person, I think.
Definitely. It does. When you get involved and you actually start doing it, you realize it's like, wow, this is a lot more work than I thought, and then the expectations of everybody, you just realize eventually it's like it's not worth it to hold yourself to their standards,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's worth it to make a connection and hopefully have a positive connection in a way. So.
You did. And, I've kind of discovered myself as my own person. I'm comfortable in my own skin now, where
Yes.
used to I'd compare myself to other musicians that I knew, or, other big name musicians. And finally, I just woke up one day and said, hey, I'm Mike Gracy. There's no other Mike Gracy in the world before or after this. And so I'm me, and I'm just going to do what I do. And if people like it, fine. If they don't, well, they don't have to listen to it. So
Well put.
It's worked out pretty well that way.
Yeah. It takes a lot of stress off too. A lot of expectations that you hold to yourself as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. And if I make a mistake, well, fine. I'll work on that and try to do better next time.
Yep.
And and I'm not a terrible singer or a terrible guitar player, but I'm just not up there with the studio musicians or the people that think they are really, really good. But I can guarantee you, I've been in the studio with some other guys and big names, and they make mistakes too. They're not on pitch all the time, and they get off the beat, and
Yeah. It's called studio performance for a reason. But I mean, but you do want to have a nice recording, and
Sure.
but I agree with you. It's everyone makes mistakes, and no one is perfect, and
Yeah.
we hold ourselves to
We're human.
Yeah.
We're not robots.
Yes, that's very true. Yep. And then I think you have to be really tough to put yourself out there as an artist as well, because of all the criticism you can get. And
Yeah.
but you gotta.
Yeah, you have to be tough and kind of a show off, I guess.
You gotta be entertaining. So yeah, you have something people want to hear.
I enjoy performing. The trouble is now at my age, I'm 71, soon to be 72, and I have to put my words and my music in front of me because I just forget. I guess I have adult attention deficit because my mind wanders when I'm up there singing, and it's horrible. So I got to have my music in front of me so I can, do a halfway decent job. And I used to not have to do that when I was a little younger. I could just jump up there and those words would just flow out of my mouth. But now it doesn't do that way. So, and that's just the aging process, and I'm okay with it. I saw Del Reeves walk on the stage with his music and the music stand on the Grand Ole Opry one night, and I thought, there I am, a couple of years. Well, like you or I, we have other things going on. We can't sit around and practice 8 hours a day or whatever it takes to memorize all these songs and stuff, because we have a life outside of music also. Yes. I always had to work to make a living.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a railroad engineer for 34 years, plus I did a lot of cowboy work and farm work, and I not only was an alcoholic, I was a workaholic. I just worked all the time. And my wife said, when you're home, you're not home, you're always out working. So.
Yeah, you get into that, and it's hard to know where your balance is. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I finally have a little balance, but I had to retire to get it.
Yeah. 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 Isn't that something? Yeah.
So this is what I do to entertain myself in my retirement. Yeah. I watched a show on country music on public television last night, and they had a segment on Johnny Cash. He was kind of one of my favorites, and I didn't want to copy him. I just enjoyed his work and how he presented himself, and his story is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And when they showed him right before he died, I thought, holy cow, he must have been 90 years old. He just looked so old. And he was only 71 years old when he died.
Wow.
And which really amazed me, because here I am, I'm 71, and I feel like I'm nowhere close to dying.
Good. That's so good.
Of course, we don't know the day or the time. We always want to be ready to go, but I'm not ready. I'm not going to volunteer.
Yeah. No, definitely not. He knows when. So.
You bet. I got more work to do.
Yep, you do. It sounds like it too. So.
Us guys don't know what we put our family through and our friends. We just don't have. And it's all about us and what we think is going to make us happy and rich, and we're always chasing something.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. We're empty on the inside, and we try to fill it with people, places, and things, and of course alcohol. And sometimes that turns into drugs, and it's just finally I found something that would fill up that hole, and that was Jesus. And how simple of a solution it is if we'll swallow our pride and become humble and turn to Him. But God keeps pursuing us until we kind of turn around and say, what on earth do you want?
Yeah,
and
He does.
And He'll tell you.
Yep, definitely.
I had a very good job, and, I'm kind of talented in many ways. I taught myself to horseshoe, trained horses and colts, and didn't get bucked off that many, and roped and rodeoed just a little bit, and I could do all that and then still drink, and I thought I was doing good, flying high, and really I wasn't. I was destroying myself, my family, and my relationship with my wife and friends, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
How all that works. I have to laugh at myself because I was the biggest fool of all.
It's a tough thing, though. It's hard to see people go through it, and
it is. It's just the hardest thing in the world for somebody to watch somebody just destroy themselves right in front of your eyes. And I've helped or tried to help a couple of guys, and they just don't get it. They won't get spiritual, and I've never seen anybody have any kind of success in an AA program if they didn't get spiritual and believe in something a power greater than yourselves. And that AA program, I was always fearful of that. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to admit that I was an alcoholic in the first place, but once I was kind of forced into it because I was in rehab and I had to go to AA meetings. And once I got into them and started looking around the room, I'm going, I'm not such a unique individual after all. Look at all these guys.
Yeah.
Their story was probably worse than mine. And, they'd survived. And I just thought, wow. So it's the fear of the unknown when you are looking at going to some place for help. And you got to get past that fear barrier and just kind of grit your teeth and say, I'm going to do this and see how it works. And really, if you've got to decide that you need to do this for yourself and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do it for yourself, you're not worth anything to anybody the way you are. And that's, finally, I realized that at, 51 years old. And I think it's harder for a younger person to admit that they really can't do it on their own. They need help. It's something different than you've ever done before, and that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Mm-hmm.
And, if a guy do just a 180 and do something completely different than he's ever done in his life, it usually works because you turn your back on your problem and you walk forward to a new goal, a new life. And it don't mean you have to leave loved ones behind, but you got to do it on your own and get to know yourself for what you are and admit that you need that, and God's going to do it. He's going to help you.
Some good advice. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that you opened up about.
Well, I hope it helps you and pick some gems out of it that he can use.
So I found your music on Reverb Nation, and is there any other ways to purchase or hear your music? How can your fans support you?
I'm on Spotify. Now, not all my music's on Spotify, but some of it is. And then I've been on iTunes, and it's not all on there, but, there's some that, and I can't remember the names of the songs that are on either one of those sites.
Okay.
And, of course, Reverb Nation, and, or people can contact me, and I'll send them out a CD if that's what they want.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, did you write all of your own music as well?
Yeah, all the songs that I have on Reverb Nation, I wrote myself.
Okay.
I think there may be 35 songs on there. Maybe I kind of forget.
Yeah, I love the Cowboy. Is it Cowboy Church? I love that song.
I love Cowboy Church. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Michael. I so appreciate you calling and talking with us today. And what is your favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? Well, you, of course. Living Alive. That's my favorite. Without a doubt. I'm Michael Gracy, and I listen to Melody Root podcast, and it is my favorite thing here on Living Alive. And I wish you all a good day, and if you want to contact me to do any singing for you at church or any other venue, we'll get a hold of me. We'll sure give you my number. And I thank you for all your listening and your time.
Live your life.
Thank you so much, Michael Gracy, for for sharing your time and your talent and your story with us today. Maybe you're a listener or maybe you're an artist that wants to be featured on Melody Roots Podcast Radio. Just like us and follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel and share us out. And we're going to take you out with one more song by Michael Gracy. It's called Someday. And thank you, everyone.
When Jesus calls, I'll walk on water. It's my faith that will see me through. I've come too far to fail or falter. I'll be protected by His truth. In these days of trials and trouble, and our lives come undone, we seem drawn to all that glitters instead of looking to the sun. We have souls that stray and wander as we search for truth and love. We choose to fill our hearts with sorrow and ignore God's will for us. As we search these hills and dark valleys, we fix our eyes on evil ways. It's His love, will, grace, and mercy that will guide us to His arms someday. When Jesus calls, I will not falter. I'll know His love, grace, and truth. I'll walk to Him by faith on water. Someday His grace will see me through. As we search these hills and dark valleys, we fix our eyes on evil ways. It's His love, will, grace, and mercy that will guide us to His arms someday. When Jesus calls, I will not falter. I'll know His love, grace, and truth. I'll walk to Him by faith on water. Someday His grace will see me through. Someday His grace will see me through.